County Chair Bob Brady. I just want to get that out front so everybody's I can say that, you're right. Thank you very much for having me. I got to tell you, I've been on the campaign trail now for 45 days, and I think this is my 20th county I've hit already, and this is by far the most impressive room. I'm speaking for all the candidates here that we've seen. I'm going to thank each and every one of you for coming out to Westmoreland County on this snowy Saturday morning, but I am Judge Dan McCaffrey. I'm on the Superior Court. My colleague and friend Debbie Kunzelman is here. A couple of things I want to kind of get out of the way, and I want to speak broadly and generally about these election cycles, and you'll understand why in a few minutes. Let me start off by asking everybody in this room a question, by raise of hands. How many of you have worked on campaigns in the past for a candidate that you've absolutely loved, and with a message that you thought was 100% a winning message, but that candidate lost because they didn't have the money, manpower, and support needed to get him over the finish line? By show of hands, can I see how many? I've heard that. We've all been there, we've all done that. I've been there and I've done that too. For those of you who don't know anything about my background, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and I'm going to tell you why I'm here standing in front of you. At the age of 18, I joined the United States Army. I am the youngest of 7 to an Irish Catholic immigrant family from Belfast, Northern Ireland, who came here to this country to escape sectarian violence. My father was beaten into a coma. I'm not going to tell you the whole tragic family history, but when he woke up, he was fired from his job, and he came to America so he could have and find a better place for his children. We had 7 children. I'm the youngest of 7, and because of my mom and dad coming to this country, my father was a printer. He became an organizer for the Printers Union in Philadelphia. My mother became a cleaning lady for the school district of the city of Philadelphia, and an SEIU retiree. Those Irish immigrants that came to this country with 3 little children were able to retire with dignity and a pension because of the labor movement. And that is why I'm standing in front of you. I am always now and always will be the labor candidate. At 18, I joined the United States Army because although my mother and father would tell everybody America is their adopted home, it is our country. At 18, I joined the United States Army, and I served proudly in the 1st Cavalry Division of the United States Army, and I was one of 50 soldiers worldwide selected to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point Prep School. I proudly attended West Point Prep, and I was honorably discharged. I attended Temple University on a veteran scholarship and Temple Law School on a veteran scholarship. In 1991, I graduated from law school. I joined the Philadelphia DA's office for 6 years, where I represented individuals who were victims of crime. That's what the prosecutors do. In 1997, I left the Philadelphia District Attorney's office, and I went to a small 4-lawyer law firm in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, with 4 lawyers. By the time I left, 16 years later, we had grown to 40 attorneys. We were one of the fastest growing law firms in Pennsylvania, and I became a chair of our firm's litigation department before I ran for judge. But it's what I did in that little between. We've all heard the story about when you see somebody who's born in 1907 on the gravestone and they died in 1920. The important part is the dash. The dash of the 16 years that I spent in private practice is really why I'm here and why I'm asking for your support. My first stop when I left the DA's office was Democratic City Committee. I sat where you sat. I spent 10 years in State Committee. Many of you in this room are friends of mine from State Committee, your New Southwest Caucus chair, and a lot of the new county chairs are friends of mine. I spent 10 years in State Committee. I spent 15 years in Democratic City Committee, and I was lead counsel for a decade to Democratic City Committee. But more importantly, when I went to Montgomery County, ladies and gentlemen, Montgomery County, for those of you who don't remember it, was a hard, solid, red Republican county. Bucks, Montgomery County, Chester County, and Delaware County. We went to work in Montgomery County on the ground floor, and I ran and campaigned on over 200 campaigns in southeastern Pennsylvania. That's what I did during those 16 years out there. I was a fundraiser, a door knocker, a campaign manager. I ran statewide campaigns. Many of you know me from the statewide campaigns. I know what it's like to run those particular campaigns, and that's why I started off with the question I started off to each and every one of you. In 2013, I ran for judge in the city of Philadelphia with Judge Tamika Lane. You're going to hear this. I was the #1 vote getter in the city of Philadelphia. There were 40 people that ran in that spot. In 2019, I ran for the Superior Court. And for those of you who were there and helped me, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because of your hard work and your efforts, I was the #1 vote getter in that race, and I ran against 5 women, 3 of whom were from southwestern Pennsylvania. I win, ladies and gentlemen, for a very simple reason. I know how to run campaigns because I've done it. My relationships, just this week alone, I've been endorsed by labor unions, over 100 different labor unions in Pennsylvania, with over 500,000 Pennsylvania workers. The reason they do that is not because they like me for any other reason than the fact that they know me. I spent 25 years in the city of Philadelphia as a trial attorney, representing labor in Pennsylvania. That's why the trial lawyers have lined up behind me. That's why labor is lined up behind me. And in this particular race, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, you have two absolutely phenomenal candidates for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Debbie Kunzelman is a close personal friend of mine. I'd rather lose this election than lose a friend, and I mean that. But the fact of the matter is this, it's not about who's the most qualified. And it's weird for me to say that as a judicial candidate, because we're both very qualified. I was highly recommended by the Bar Association when I ran in 2019. This is about who best represents your interests in 19 and who is the best situation to win. I appeal to veterans, I appeal to law enforcement. I am the individual who will cross over party lines and get that support, and that is reflected in the fact that, like I said to you, in 2019, the #1 vote getter in the state with 1.3 million votes. That was because of our hard work collectively and my representation of the unions and the labor and the trial lawyers. So I want to thank you. I'm going to be here all morning. If anybody has any questions for me, anything you want to say, I'm going to finish it up by saying one thing. I'm a Democrat for a reason. I told you the reason at the outset. On the Supreme Court, none of us are going to be able to tell you how we would act or how we would vote. But understand something, as my mother said, if you want to know what someone's going to do in the future, look at what they've done in the past. I have spent my entire 32-year career defending and promoting democratic values. Thank you.